Okay, now that we have covered the basic information security concepts, very fundamental concepts, let's take a look at a more detailed look at the different security threats that we are facing or we might face specifically on the content side or specifically on the services or the application side. Those threats are probably most dangerous for any IT infrastructure because they cause the maximum damage to an organization's reputation and to an organization's ability to do business, either through loss of revenue or through loss of profit or through loss of customers. So if you look at this pyramid, it's a simple layered model which you are all familiar with because of your background in networking and IT. You all know that this layered model is used for in any IT infrastructure, or the foundational concepts of networking are based on these layers. Traditionally, if we look at the different attacks, the attacks were very crude and the attacks used to be very simple. For example, if an attacker is attacking the physical layer of an infrastructure, this means he could be cutting wires in an infrastructure, he could be stealing some physical asset from an infrastructure like server or hard disk or anything, or he could be destroying an infrastructure. This is the physical layer threats, which can be controlled by limiting the physical access to your data centers, to your IT infrastructures. The more sophisticated attacks could be at the data link layer, where you could be spoofing or stealing the MAC addressing or ARP spoofing or MAC flooding. So these were the attacks which were targeted at the data link layer. Similarly, the attacks at the network layer included IP address spoofing or address scanning attacks, which were used to steal information or get information about on the network layer. Then the transport layer attacks were the attacks where you use the TCP and UDP vulnerabilities to attack the resources. For example, TCP synchronization attack, or SYN attack, what we call, or the SYN ACK attacks, or the ACK attacks, or the FIN and reset attacks. All these are actually flags in the TCP header. So SYN flag or ACK flag or FIN flag or reset flag, these flags are used for generating attacks through the TCP frames or TCP headers. So all those attacks were generated using TCP or UDP headers, and those were called transport layer attacks. All these attacks, or most of the attacks that we're looking at in this picture at the lower portion of the pyramid till the transport layer, from data link till the transport layer, these attacks could be very effectively handled by the traditional firewalls. In fact, traditional firewalls were built to handle the attacks at the network and the transport layer, and of course the data link layer as well. So the traditional firewalls' main purpose was to prevent or stop attacks at these layers. Plus, they could stop the attacks partially or to some extent at the application layer based on the TCP or UDP port numbers which are part of the transport layer header. So they could control some attacks at the application layer as well. However, their main focus was the transport and the network layer attacks. But as the time moved forward, the types of attacks at the transport layer and network layer were diminished, or they were not considered to be as effective because they could be controlled easily by the traditional firewalls, and more attacks emerged at the application layer. And because these attacks were more sophisticated, they could not be controlled by the traditional firewalls. For example, a traditional firewall would be stopping or allowing a certain port number because a certain port number represents certain protocol and ultimately certain type of applications. But the same port number could be used by some genuine or real applications, and the same port number could be used by some malicious application or some malicious code to target your network or to target your infrastructure. So for transport layer or traditional firewalls, it was the same because it was only looking at the transport layer. So it was very important that we developed intelligence above the transport layer, or we developed intelligence about applications at the application layer as well. So this concept of developing awareness about the applications at the application layer, about the content of those applications, this is what the purpose of next generation firewalls was. So the next generation firewalls are actually much smarter, much more smarter as compared to the traditional firewalls, and they can now actually look at the content of the application to determine and to find out whether this data or this traffic is real traffic, or this is benevolent traffic, this is good traffic, or it is bad or malicious traffic. So this was not possible with traditional firewalls, but the new firewalls or the next generation firewalls, they can actually make this happen, or they can actually achieve this for us. And this is not easy. Believe me, it was easy to control these types of attacks at the lower layers, but it is very complicated and very difficult to control the attacks at the application layer. I said that it is difficult to control the attacks at the application layers, and it's easy to control the attacks at the network and the transport layer, and it's difficult to control attacks at the application layer. So why is it so difficult to control these attacks, especially at the application layer? Because at the application layer, there are so many different types of applications. There are so many different types of protocols that you need to take care of. So the variety of attacks can be huge. So you need to make sure that you understand each and every application, you understand the type of traffic or the content that is generated by that application, and what are the specific attacks that can be generated by using that content or by using that application. So it's important to understand the composition of an application or its content and then counter that attack. So these are here, if you look at this picture, this slide, you can see that there are three major challenges which we face as administrators. As a security administrator, we face multiple challenges, but these are the three major challenges that we face. So for example, the information asymmetry is one disadvantage that an administrator has and one advantage that a hacker has. So for example, the hacker knows who he is attacking. The hacker knows who the target is. So for hacker, the victims are known. However, the administrator does not know who would be attacked. Anyone can be attacked. Any application, any server, any user can be attacked. So it is difficult for the administrator to protect multiple assets. However, it is easier for the hacker to attack because he can choose any target that he wants, but the administrator has to be ready, or the security team has to be ready to defend against all the assets that they have. So this is information asymmetry. So this is the information asymmetry that we have, that the hacker has got the information where he or she wants to attack, and the administrator does not know where the attack is going to come. So it's a typical attack and defense scenario, not only in information security, but in any security implementation. This is the advantage. The advantage will always be with the attacker or with the hacker. Then there is the scope asymmetry. Because we've got so many different types of type of IT assets, the attacker can pick and choose any one point of entry or point of access to attack. Whereas we have to cover all our bases. We have to make sure that all the entry points or all the targets are securely covered. So the scope for us, the scope is our entire infrastructure. But for the attacker, the scope could be one server, or the scope could be one internet access point or one internet entry point, one gateway. So he could be targeting one point, and we have to protect all our points. And then finally, the rule asymmetry. The rules of the game or the legal requirements, because the black hat hackers or simply the malicious hackers, they don't go by the rules. They don't go by the laws. They consider themselves above law. However, we as administrators, we as the good guys, we have to follow the rules and regulations and the laws. we cannot go beyond the laws. In other words, our hands are tied. We have to defend ourselves, and to a large extent, our hands are tied because of the rule or the law's asymmetry. So this is another inherent disadvantage which we are always going to have against the hackers. So these are the challenges which make our task all the more difficult, and especially difficult when we are trying to protect the content, the applications or the services. The network and transport layers are relatively easier to defend, but content, the applications, the content and the services are much more difficult to defend, especially taking into consideration these limitations that we have on our hands. So if you look at the different threats, so these are the next few slides. Probably you already know a lot about them. You already know what these attacks are because of your background in security or because of some of the previous lectures or lecture that you've attended in this course. So viruses and malicious software threats, these are the typical threats that you see in your infrastructure. These threats are targeting your computers, your servers, your storage, your users. And these threats typically come from the internet, and then they can spread across the enterprise IT infrastructure internally as well. These includes viruses, worms or Trojans. What are viruses, worms and Trojans? I would recommend that you do a Google search, and you will be able to exactly know and understand what is the fine difference between a virus, a worm and a Trojan. These terms are used interchangeably, but these have slightly different connotations. Technically, these are different things. So I would encourage you to go and do some research so that you are able to understand the difference, the slight differences between these 2 or 3 types of malicious codes. So all these are coming through the internet, either through the emails or through web access. Whenever you are accessing the web, you either knowingly or unknowingly, because of lack of knowledge, as a user, you might hit something that results in one of these malicious entities entering your host, your computer, or your network or your server. So this malicious content is coming from the internet towards your network or towards your IT infrastructure. And the 2 major sources are, as I said, email and web access.